Hello guys, and welcome to another video on my channel. In this one I'm going to show you the ultimate guide to this round 5 manufacturer exhibition season, which is at the Gr4, which is at Blooming Bay Speedway Infield A in Gr4 machinery. So what I'm going to be showing you is, at the moment in this intro, I'm going to show you the race settings, and then I'm going to go into my fastest qualifying lap, and then I'm going to go into the detailed lap guide after it, and I'm then going to show the first 11, 12 laps of the racing that I did. Just because what you do in the first stint is the same as the second stint, and I don't want to drag the video on for too much. So I'll show the first stint, talk about what I've been doing in that, and then yeah, that should be good enough to do for the whole race. But anyway, so here are the race settings. So at least in the GT1 category or class, it is 23 laps. We've got ×2 tyre wear for both qualifying and the race, and in the race we've got ×2 fuel on top of that as well. Like I said, we are in the Gr4 cars. It's a 5-minute qualifying session, so we'll have time to do 3 flying laps, I believe. And we are on the racing medium tyres, which I don't agree with. It should be on racing hards or even sport soft, to be honest. I don't think Gr4 should have grippy tyres, given how slow they are. But anyway, that's just my opinion. And since we're at Blooming Bay Infield A, this is a medium speed BOP track, and the brake balance is allowed. Light damage as always for these races, and you do have to make a pit stop, so it will be a tyre changer because it's tagged to tyre on mediums with some quite fast speed corners. The only cars you might be able to get away with a no stop is the Citroen and the Alfa Romeo 4C, but I still wouldn't recommend it because it would just leave you vulnerable at the end. So I would recommend tyre changing around the halfway point of the race. But we'll get more into that as we get to the race stints that I'm going to be showing you. But now I'm going to show you my fastest time trial lap. Actually, no, it's not my fastest time trial lap. It's my second fastest time trial lap I did, because for some reason my fastest one didn't save. But the one I'm going to be showing you is only 300ths off, so it's similar references. So I'll see you for that fastest lap, and after I'll see you for the detailed lap afterwards. One more thing, if you find these helpful or enjoyable to watch, I would appreciate a like and a sub as well. It does help. It does mean a lot to me. And I do enjoy doing these, so I'll carry on making these if you do enjoy them. But without further ado, I'll show you my second fastest time trial lap I've done now. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that lap, but now I'm going to show you the replay of the fastest lap I actually did, which was 300ths faster than the lap I just shown you. Similar references I'm using that, it's a slightly more complete lap, especially in sector 1. But without further ado, I'd say the keyword for this is timing. The reason I say timing is because the 1 or 2 corners, if you don't absolutely nail the braking and turning timing, it's a long day for you, and you'll lose tenths, if not half a second easily, if you were to mess those 2 specific corners up. But more on those when I actually get to those corners. One more thing as well. Since it's a manufacturer season, you are locked into a car that you picked at the beginning of the season or whenever you picked the car. So I'm in the Porsche Cayman, so my references is with the Porsche Cayman. It may be slightly different references for whatever car you're in. For example, the M4. That car is very different to drive compared to basically every other Gr4 car. So it probably has very slightly different reference points for the braking, the throttle, etc. But anyway, without further ado, let's get to this lap. So, turn 1, and in my opinion, the most difficult corner on this track to nail. Well, not even just to nail, but just to be consistent at. And I'd argue one of the 5 toughest corners on this entire game, just because, yeah, if you do it slightly wrong or incorrectly, I should say, then you are losing tons of time. Kind of reminds me of the deep voiced hairpin at the end of a lap. If you don't nail it, you lose 2 times easily, usually. It's the same with this corner. So, braking reference. I brake about half a car length to a car length after these arrows here. The last arrows you see on the right hand side. I'll brake about half a car length to a car length after it. You do need to turn in slightly before you brake though. The reason you want to do that is because you want to aim to have your car around this yellow line here. A good reference point for that is it's the third yellow line from this outside of the track. So 1, 2, 3. You want to aim for this yellow line here. Because if you were to go wider, let's say this yellow line for example, since this part of the track is more hilly / more incline, your car will react worse to the bump as you join the infield section. So you need to aim at least to be on the edge of this yellow line here, in my opinion. At least for consistency's sake. Every now and then you might be able to go slightly wider, but it's very hard to do, and I personally wouldn't risk it, at least in the Porsche Cayman. Like I said, in like an M4 or something, maybe with its better suspension and weight distribution, it may be able to go very slightly wider on the entry point. But in the Cayman, I'm aiming to be around the edge of this yellow line here to open up the corner still a bit and carry good speed into the corner. But like I said, I'm braking half to car length after it, and you're going to see me brake about 90% braking input just so that I don't understeer too wide as I apply the brakes and go wide on entry. And plus, since you're not putting 100% braking input in, you're not putting all your weight to the front of your car, so that when your front part of the car goes onto the infield bit, but your rear of the car is still not on the infield bit, your car won't react as bad to rejoining the infield bit. If you understand what I'm trying to say, it's quite hard to put it into words, but I think you understand me. I'm not putting 100% brake input in just to not have as much of a reaction going off the oval bit and rejoining onto the infield part of the track. But anyway, half to a car length after it, I'm going to be doing 90-ish% braking input, and I'm going to be slowing down gradually once I get onto this infield bit, down to about 90 or 91 mile an hour, that sort of area. I'll pause here as well. With these bumps, try not to have 100% steering input in, because just because of the way your tyres are, if you put like a lot of left lock in, like a part of your front tyres will hit this part first before the other part of your front tyres hit. So basically the contact patches of the tyres will basically react weirdly if you put 100% turning lock going off this track here. So as you can see on my red dot, I've got about 70% steering input, I'd say that is. So basically you don't want your red dot to be as far left here as possible. Get ready to counter steer just in case your car reacts slightly weirdly to the bump as well. Just be prepared. Next corner, again quite difficult to nail, but I was quite consistent on this corner in general. So there's this 100 marker I just paused at here. So after this 100 marker, you see these black signs on the wall here. I basically started to trail brake very lightly around the start of this black sign here. And when I say very lightly, I mean literally a 10-20% braking input, because that was enough of the braking input for me that the car would slow down and it would rotate really nicely to bite into the corner. And I was aiming to be about 98 mile an hour on the first apex here, and I gradually picked up the throttle and rolled the car in for the second part of the left-hander, just so that I'd line me up for the corner after. I mean this little left-hander here, by the way. But anyway, you want to try to stay as far left as possible from this point on, because the next corner is coming right up. So I'm going to pause it right here. You see this first lamppost here on the left hand side? I broke about a car length after it. For me, I was quite inconsistent on this corner because it entirely depended on how you did this previous corner over here. So if you feel like your exit's slightly worse, maybe you can brake slightly later. But if you think you've got a really good exit, you might want to brake about half a car length after this lamppost. But there's two ways to do this right-hander in my opinion. So I'm going to pause it on my braking reference here. I'm just going to go onto chase cam just until I see the brake lights. There you go. One frame after it, I apologise. But here is my braking point. I'll say on bumper cam, I'm literally a car length ahead of it. So I broke a car length after this lamppost. And you can either turn early and cut a bit of this curb here. However, depending on your car, it may oversteer a bit. In the Cayman, it oversteers a bit if you put a lot of turning input as you go over the grass. Another way to do it is you could turn in a touch later and have your right wheels go on the right part of the curb without touching the grass, and try to carry a bit more exit speed that way because you've got a bit more angle to do the actual corner. Honestly, for me, it just depended on how I feel. I don't like to brake early, and I don't really like to brake late either, so I'm probably always going to be using this braking reference, and depending on how I did the previous corner, I'll either turn in early or turn in a bit later, depending on how much speed I'm carrying at this point. But for that corner, I was aiming to be about 90 mile an hour. I'm not sure if third or fourth gear is faster though. In this lap, I think I did it in fourth gear. As you can see, I'm in that. Trying to get as close to this barrier as possible. It used to give you a penalty, but I don't think it does anymore. I just remember it used to give you a penalty for some reason, for when I did this for a time trial about a year ago from memory. But yeah, aiming to be about 90 mile an hour. Try to carry as much speed as possible because it's like it's not a long straight, but you know, you need momentum from this corner. Also, one more thing, try not have your left tyres go off this curb because it'll give you dirty tyres for the next corner coming up as well. Stay as close to the inside as possible, just to minimise distance. Next corner, you see this underboard, go past it, and I'm going to brake basically at the end of the nearest shadow here. So basically on this shadow here, that is my braking reference for this corner. If I was in a slipstream, I'd probably have to go to fifth gear and then brake slightly earlier. But in this car, I found it better just to rev out fourth. It may rev it out a bit too much towards the end of the straight, but you're going up to a braking zone anyway, but you don't really lose time doing it. But yeah, brake at the end of this shadow line here, so about here. That is my braking reference for this corner. I'm going to be turning in early to this corner because it's quite a wide corner, and I thought there was more grip if you turned in earlier and tried to hook your right tyres onto this inside curve here. I was aiming to gradually slow down through the hairpin down to about 44-45 mile an hour. I turned in slightly too late here personally, but that might have been because I braked slightly later than I would usually. I had a bit of oversteer here, so I definitely lost some time there. Next corner, in my opinion, another very difficult corner, or corners I should say, to nail. But basically there's this 50 marker here. We're going to be going past it. I'm going to be braking about half a car length before the end of this blue and white curve on the end here. So I'm going to pause on the braking point about it's any second now. There we go. I've just started to lift and my ABS light is showing. So I'm braking, as you can see, literally half a car length before the end of this curve here. So what you're going to be doing here is you want to be close to this first apex bit here, but you don't want to be touching the inside curve. You want to be about a car width off this inside curve. Because if you hit this inside curve, it will ruin your it will ruin the next part of the corner because you'll be too far on the inside, so you won't have enough of an angle to put the throttle down early and make the corner. Because if you were to hit the inside curve here and do what you would do that I'm showing you now, you'll just unsteer the track, or you'll just turn too early and cut the inside for a corner, and you'll either oversteer or get a penalty, etc. So you want to be about a car length, or car width, sorry, of the first apex, which will hopefully line you up for the second part of the corner here. And I was looking to be about 51-50 mile an hour as I got to the second apex. Since it's Gr4 on racing mediums especially, try go on the throttle as early as possible because your car will grip up as you put the throttle down. Anyway, last corner, and in my opinion, another maybe top 10 most difficult corner to nail on this game as well, in my opinion anyway, because if you only just mistime it, it can cost there could be huge consequences, sorry, if you do this corner slightly incorrectly. But basically what I'm going to be trying to do, and I do mess it up on this lap unfortunately, so I can't show you what a nailed line would look like. However, what I'm going to be trying to describe is My braking reference for this corner is about, and I say braking reference, I mean a literal tap of a brake. I'm going to be doing that just before I get to the 50 board. So I think it was about half a car length before the 50 board. And you're going to be turning in as soon as you tap the brakes, just to get your car to rotate into the actual corner and slow down enough that you can go on a throttle very early and carry as much exit speed as possible while still carrying good apex speed in the actual corner itself. So I'm going to pause it about here. I have just started to turn in. I've not broken yet. I might have actually gone past it. Oh, there you go. Let me just go back, sorry. So I did go past it a bit. Beautiful livery, by the way, and I love this car. But anyway, I've started turning in about a car length before the 50 board. Try use all this exit curve as possible to open up this corner as well. You need to do that because you need as much momentum out of this corner as possible. Because look how long you're going to be full throttle for. You're going to be on full throttle for all the way until turn 1 here, which is quite a late braking zone in general as well. So you're on a full throttle for probably a good 20-25 seconds. So you need to nail this corner exit at least. So I've started turning in about half a car length before the 50. I tap the brakes on the 50. So about, let's go here. There you go. As my rear got to the 50, I tapped the brake. I'm going to play it now. And I'll go back and replay just so you can see it very quickly after. I'm literally tapping the brakes and going back on the throttle right now. I did mess this up there, so I had to lift off a bit more than I would usually, which is unfortunate. But basically, I'm going to go back again quickly. So I am rumbling on about this corner a bit. This is just a super important corner, so I'm going to put it here. Get as close to this barrier as possible, because I found there was a lot more grip when you cut this part of the corner here. Basically, if your right tyres was on this blue and white curb, it would start to understeer a bit and you would crash into the barrier. And if you don't know, if you crash into the outside barrier, it gives you half a second penalty. And also, it will just ruin your momentum for the whole straight. So the more you cut it, the more grip you have and the more speed you can carry. On this particular lap, I think I did about 93 mile an hour I carried, but you can do it 95 mile an hour if you were to nail it. So, oh sorry, I'm going to play it in full speed now. Of course you can see in kilometers an hour how roughly fast you should take it. There you go. One more thing before I finish this section of the video. To start your fastest lap, take as wide of a turning as possible, because it will gain you a good 200-300ths at the start of a lap. And that could be a couple positions difference, especially in top split. It could be a couple positions difference just because you started faster on your lap by taking a wide line. So, for example, if you were to mess up your first flying lap, I would personally just sacrifice that lap, go for the good exit to start your second lap, and then hopefully that lap will be good enough for you to start further up the grid. I'm just going to play it to the end of the replay. Stay as close to this yellow line as possible without touching it. Carry on turning until you're on this inside here, just to minimise the track distance. And yeah, that is a lap around Blue Moon Bay. A 1:12.233 I think it was. There you go. A decent lap. Bit more in it though. And now I'm going to show you the first thing I did of the race run I did. So I'll see you in that section of the video with commentary in background. Thank you very much and have a good day. Well, I say have a good day. There's still another portion of the video to go. But yeah, stay tuned. Okay guys, so here is the race run I am going to be showing you. This is the only race run I will be doing and showing. So what I'm going to be doing is basically a 12 lap stint like it would be in the actual race slash round that we have participated in. So my aim here is basically try to drive consistently, mainly for one, without hitting any barriers in that, or going off track, you know, or having a bad bump from turn 1 and understeering right, etc. I'm also going to be looking to not fully push on my front right tyre, because there's quite a lot of fast left-handers, so I don't want to put much heat into my front right tyres, just so that I have good tyre life at the end of the distance, and yeah, basically not lose too much time as the stint goes on, thanks to the tyre wear, since I don't want to be putting load into the front right tyre. But anyway, like I said in the intro, so the race settings for this is there's times 2 fuel and times 2 tyre wear on your rating medium tyres in Gr4. So I am using +3 brake tyres just in case you are not aware. In other cars I'd probably use +5, but Cayman does snap a bit under braking, so you can't really use +5 in this car, but +3 is quite nice. As you can see here, just because I slightly did the first lap corner wrong, my car slowed out a bit. That is what I meant back in the lap guide. You have to be extremely careful with your braking and turning points for that corner, because if you do it slightly wrong, then yeah, you either slide or your car bounces but you can't really steer, and you'll just understeer ride and lose a ton of momentum and potentially even more tyre wear, because you're going to have to put more turning input to actually make the corner without understeering too wide. So yeah, like I said, aim, stay consistent, try drive as quick as possible though, because in the actual thing, especially in top split, if you were to make some small mistakes or you weren't up to the speed, people will be going for moves on you and you'll just fall down the grid. So you have to be extremely consistent here, but extremely fast at the same time. Something that is extremely difficult to do on this track, especially thanks to the first and last corner mainly. But even without those 2 corners, it's still quite a difficult track. You know, the second last corner, for example, there is a couple of ways you can do it, and I'm quite inconsistent in that corner, because especially as you'll see in the race one, I'm trying to put as little braking input as possible in that corner to try not put too much load into my front right tyre and basically overheat it. So yeah, quite a tough task ahead, but I'm going to be talking through the main aim to do in your racing. So what I'm going to be looking to do, at least for me, is try to stay in a slipstream train. Well, when I say slipstream train, unless you qualify at the front, which is amazing. If you can qualify at the front, basically what I am aiming to do is I'm going to be just doing my own race. I'm going to be looking after my tyres slightly in the left corners, just so that my front right tyre at the end of the stint isn't too badly worn, but I'll just get swallowed up in the pack and get dive bombs or whatever. So I do maybe recommend a touch of tyre saving, not much, but you're going to lose pace and time. Just maybe a 10th or 2's worth a lap of tyre saving, just so that you can have good tyres for the end of the stint and maybe go for moves on other cars. Since the Cayman is an MR, it's got okay tyre, although on MR it is one of the worst tyres on MR just because it's quite heavy. And it's got a bit more front distribution compared to some other Gr4 cars, such as the Alfa Romeo 4C, for example, which has amazing tyre wear as well, just because it's light and it has a lot more weight on its rear, at least compared to the Cayman. So that's why I'm going to be looking after my tyres, just so that I'm not vulnerable against cars such as the Citroen and the 4C. Although I don't think there's many people that picked up the 4C, but just in case. You know, the Citroen is amazing on tyres. That car will be able to tyre save for days. It'll probably have very little tyre wear in each stint, just because that car has good speed, good cornering speed, good acceleration, good tyre wear. It's just good at everything really. It even burns fuel as well. Like it's got it all. But yeah, one more quick recap on my thing I'm going to be doing in the race. So staying consistent but fast. Tyre save a touch in the left-handers especially. I'll talk about the corners I'm mainly tyre saving that in a second. And staying in the faster guys slipstream. I'm trying to do the least battles possible, because the more you battle, the more time you're costing yourself, which will invite the people behind you to close up the gap and maybe go for moves on you as well, which means you're just going to lose more time, and yeah, the people in front of you will get away, so that your max position you'll get won't be as good as what it will be before. And we want to try and fight for a win, don't we, guys? Want to try and minimise the most time possible, just so that we have the best chance of winning our races, or my race anyway, at least from my perspective. The corners I'm going to be tyre saving mainly, so I'm going to quickly go through it. So turn 1 I am tyre saving probably the most, because it's quite a long, fast left-hander. I'm probably going to be looking to do about 50% steering in that corner, because that is enough steering for the car to still turn at a good speed or not overheating the tyres too much. Since that corner is a very wide exit as well, you can get away with putting a little less steering input in. So that corner, and then I'm also going to be doing the next corner, about similar turning inputs because it's a similar speed, slightly faster actually, but you don't really brake, you only do slight trail brake, as you can see on screen now. So that's quite easy to tyre safe, I think. Just as long as you're not too deep or carrying too much speed into a corner, that should be easy to tyre safe. Because if you go slightly too fast in, you're going to be having to put a lot of load into your front right tyre in that corner, just to, you know, get close to the edge of the track before the turning point for the right hander that quickly comes up after you do the second kink of the corner. So after that corner, it's a right hander, so you can push it as much as possible because the front left tyre barely gets used on this track. Same for hairpin, do it normally like you would in time trial. Obviously you've got fuel on board, so take that into account. You can maybe go on the 4 slightly earlier because you probably have a bit less wheel spin / oversteer, just because you've got more weight in the car, so it's not as loose. And then the double lefts, I'm turning probably normally, but I'm going to be trying to put a tiny bit of less brake pressure in, just so that again I'm not putting too much load into my front right tyre as I am turning and putting some brake input in. So you want to try and minimise the braking in that corner, in my opinion. And for the last corner, I'm going to try and tyre save it a bit, but honestly, if I was to start losing the slipstream a bit, I would be pushing that corner, because if you push that corner, it can gain you tenths, just because of the way where the grip is in that corner, which is all the way on the inside, as close to the barrier as possible. If you don't hit that line, you're going to be losing time, so I'm probably not going to be focusing too much on tyre saving there. I'm probably just going to be focusing on getting as close to the inside barrier as possible without touching it, like that basically, by just showing you. And obviously don't touch the outside barrier, because one, you lose a lot of momentum, and two, yes, I won't get a penalty in this race right now, but in the actual race you would be getting half the penalty. Talking of penalty, I don't actually remember when the penalty line was, so I'll keep an eye out on it. It might be in the middle of S2 from memory after the right hander. So I'll keep an eye out on it for a second. But as you can see, that turn 1 again, because I hit it slightly at the wrong angle, my car just stopped steering. I had to turn more and had to lift off quite a bit and reduce my speed. So that's what I mean. And look, I lose 3 tenths there, which is a lot of time, and you'll probably get overtaken on the inside by someone if that was to happen to you. I'm keeping an eye out on this penalty. I honestly don't see it. Might even be after the last corner, which would be very bad because you'd lose a bunch of time. So hopefully it's not after the last corner and it's after this corner instead. So I'm just going to stay quiet for a second here. It's not here, so it looks like it's out of the last corner. So similar to Interlagos in round 3 we had. Right here, wow. Okay, so do not get a penalty. You cannot get a penalty. You'll lose probably at least 2 seconds, even with only half a second penalty, which is ridiculous in my opinion. But that just means we have to drive more consistently and make less mistakes. So I'm probably not going to be risking the last corner much, because if I was to get a penalty in my lobbies, I would probably lose a good 8 places, and it'd be very hard to overtake that, since people I'm racing with, the couple of their driving ability, they don't really make mistakes, and it'll just be really hard to overtake back, especially if they start to defend the inside. I think this track, especially turn 1, if someone was to defend the inside fully, I would not even risk the outside unless I was about a car length ahead and try to brake later and turn in early and be a car length ahead of them. But yeah, I wouldn't risk the outside just because of the way rejoin the infield part of the track, you'll just hit the bad part of a bump and you'll just understeer off or oversteer into the inside barrier or into someone, and yeah, you're going to be killing your tyres, you're going to be wasting a lot of race time, so just be careful. One more thing to talk about quickly is the strat. So I've got about 4 minutes left of this race run before I head into the pits at the end of lap 12, so I'm going to quickly go over what I think you should do for your strat. So, since it's a 23 lap race, the halfway point of this race is 11.5 laps in. Obviously we can't pit halfway through lap 11 because it's only the pit lane that comes around once a lap, which is obviously at the start of the lap. Except on 1 or 2 tracks, but I won't get into those. But basically, the optimal strat for this race is to pit either lap 11 or lap 12, which is what I'm probably going to be doing, especially if a car ahead of me goes into the pit lane. I'm probably going to be following them in, just so I can use their section to hopefully tyre save a touch and try and attack them at the end, especially if they have good pace in front of me. If I was to try and pass them through strat, I'd either undercut, probably even lap 9, you could probably undercut in, lap 9, lap 10 area. I probably wouldn't recommend lap 9 actually, now I think about it. So I'd say the earliest I'd personally lap is lap 10, and the latest I'd personally pit is lap 14. I'd say if anywhere between lap 10 and lap 14 is not bad to pit in. Even 14 is pushing it late. I'd say 10 to 13 to be honest, because you don't want to get undercut by people, really, and you don't really want to get overcutted either. Because I do think there is a slight chance of overcut can happen in this track, just because how hard it is to do the last corner especially. And also with the cold tyres, you might have a bit of oversteer in the braking zones on cold tyres. I know I probably would go into the hairpin on this particular track, for example in the Cayman. So I'm personally going to be following the faster car ahead of me, using their section to tyre save, maybe give them a bump job if possible as well. But I know the Cayman's not got the best acceleration, but it does have decent top end from memory. So that is my aim. But let's say you're qualified towards the back, then I'd either pit lap 10 or lap 13, just to try something different and hope chaos happens towards the end of the race and you'll have the tyres to attack at the end of the race and gain those crucial positions. But now we are going on to the last lap of this stint I'm going to be showing you for this video, because like I said, I don't want to drag this video too long, and 2, I don't want to just be driving by myself on another 11 laps doing exactly the same thing. But I'm showing you now, because I'd literally just be doing the same driving. The only differences would be I'm doing 11 laps instead of 12, but I'd still be tyre saving in the same places. I just have a little bit of less fuel and also increasing about 10 or 2 lap faster on average, and maybe minimising mistakes as well, just because I'm more used to doing the combo. But as you can see here, I got 2 tenths below. However, it didn't come up below on the actual thing. The reason that happened is because I got exactly the same S1 time as my lap 3 time, which was purple. And if you remember lap 2, I made a mistake in turn 1, and that is where I lost 2 tenths on that particular lap compared to lap 3. But anyway, as you can see, my tyres have got about 30% worn, which I'm really happy with. In the other cars, you'll probably have to tyre save even more. For example, the Lexus RCF, that car is so bad on tyres, that's going to have to tyre save a lot. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up now, so if you enjoyed, then thank you for sticking by and watching this video, of course. If this has helped, I would appreciate a like and a sub as always, just to show your support basically. I am grateful for the recent support as well. I mean, 1.6k subs is insane in just over 3 months. But I will carry on, and you expect 3 updates coming out soon, so I'm going to be carrying on grinding, and like I said, I hope you enjoyed. Any questions, leave in comments. See you later.